The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
The Miami Dolphins have a passing combination that has put up more touchdowns than any in the history of the league. No quarterback and receiver have ever teamed up for more. Not Joe Montana, who has thrown 55 touchdown passes to Jerry Rice. Not John Hadle of the San Diego Chargers, who threw 56 to Lance Allworth. And not even the great John Unitas to Raymond Berry combination of the Baltimore Colts. Miami's Dan Marino over the last 9 seasons has hit the speedy and elusive Mark Clayton for touchdowns an amazing 71 times. Dan Marino, 5 Pro Bowls, big, durable, a powerful throwing arm. But Clayton is quick to recognize Marino's other talents as well.
He gets rid of the ball quicker than any other quarterback. He'll take a chance at fitting the ball in there, and most of the time he's successful.
Very successful. Marino has thrown more touchdown passes in his career than any quarterback playing in the league today.
For anybody, you know, you get excited when you throw a touchdown. But if it's a particular one that counts a lot and it's a big part of the ball game, I mean, it's something special. Yeah, I mean, I get really excited.
The Cincinnati Bengals face Clayton, Marino, and the Miami Dolphins on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Well, it's tumble time and it's bumble time. Hey, ready, set, go, you gotta hit that line. Yeah, catch the ball. Hey, make the run. Oh, most of all, you gotta have a lot of fun. We're gonna make you smile and get rid of your blues and do the Monday Night Football boogie for you. Football boogie for you. Are you ready for the football? It's the game of the week that's coming your way. It's Monday Night Football and it's time to play.
ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Miami Dolphins. Brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. By Norelco patented lift and cut shavers. We make close comfortable. By Federal Express, all around the world, our most important package is yours. And by IBM. Whatever your size, whatever your needs, IBM is working to bring you the best solution.
Joe Robbie Stadium, Miami, Florida. Great night for football. Chamber of Commerce weather. A waning moon shining down on Joe Robbie Stadium. Temperature somewhere in the 70s. Only a slight breeze is stirring. Key game for the Miami Dolphins as tonight they take on the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Glad you've joined us on an NFL weekend that has brought the playoff picture much more into focus. We'll be talking about that during the course of the game. But meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins know what they must do. They must win either tonight or next week against San Diego and then beat the Jets in their finale December the 22nd, and they know they will have a wild card locked up. Now, this is the Miami Dolphin team that struggled early in the year. They were 3-5 at the halfway point, but they've won 4 of their last 5, and they're just about back to what they were last year when they went 12-4 and got into the playoffs. It's very doable, and tonight they like to get started, and they like to get started against the Bengals, who, quite frankly, are having kind of a nightmarish season. They're 2-11, and Al Michaels, this is the team that is really puzzling. 3 years ago, they almost won the Super Bowl. Last year, they won their division, and here they are really showing up just trying to get this season over with.
Frank, this is their worst nightmare come true. This team starts its year with 8 straight losses, beats Cleveland by 2 points, and then 4 more losses in succession. What about Sam White? What happens to a coach who's 2-11 after 13 weeks? He has 2 more years left on a contract that pays him about $500,000 per season. I talked to Mike Brown, their general manager, this afternoon, asked him about White's future. He said it will be determined at the end of the season, no further public discussion. I asked him, how important is it for this team to look good down the stretch? He didn't answer directly, but he did say, we can't look like we looked against the Raiders. 2 weeks ago, they were bombed. That was the low point in the season. But last week, they responded almost in sort of a referendum to keep Weich's job. They came off their worst performance of the season and followed it up with their best performance of the season when they knocked off the Giants at Riverfront Stadium. Can they make it 2 in a row tonight? It's going to be tough, especially defensively. They're last in the league in total defense. They are last in the league in pass defense. And Dan, when you're last in those two categories, about the last guy you want to see on the other side of the line is number 13, Dan Marino.
You're right, Alan. If you're Dan Marino and the Dolphins, the Bengals are the last team in many ways you want to see, a team that's not afraid to take chances and has absolutely nothing to lose. And I guess really what's surprising for all of us is really to be seeing the Miami Dolphins making a playoff run here in December. We saw them in the preseason, and this was a team, quite frankly, in shambles. They had more holdouts than they had veterans in camp almost. Devastating injuries to people like Sammy Smith and Richmond Webb, who have since come back to the lineup. Well, how have they gotten to this point? Frank mentioned their hot second half. Well, it has to be Dan Marino, who every time he drops back to pass seems to set another record. So far this season, he's the the 8th 3,000-yard season. The only quarterback in NFL history who did it. He passed that milestone last week, and with only 129 yards passing tonight, he passes my old teammate Jim Hart to become the 5th passer of all time, the 5th leading passer in career passing yardage. Dan Marino, Mark Clayton, that should be the winning ticket for Miami tonight.
And we'll see them right away. They'll get the ball as Lee Johnson kicks off for Cincinnati on a warm night. And it's a deep kick, and about 50% of Johnson's kicks have wound up in the end zone for a touchback, as does this one. So Miami takes over at the 20-yard line. Dan Marino came up in 1983, now in his 9th season, 3,121 yards this year with still 3 games to go. And he has Mark Higgs behind him, along with the blocking back Tony Page, the great wideouts Clayton and Duper. Edmonds is now healthy again at tight end. Webb and Sims are healthy as well, with Ulanake, Galbraith, and Dennis. The interior line. First down, Miami from the 20-yard line, and Mark Higgs picks up 4. He gets it out to the 24-yard line. Now that Cincinnati defense last in the league. Mitch, the veteran, Crumry in the middle, and Tua Tagovailoa on the outside. Francis, Barker, Zander, and the rookie Alfred Williams out of Colorado, the linebackers. Haddock started the year at Tampa Bay, picked up on waivers. Thomas on the other side with a hard-hitting Fulcher and Barney Bussey. And we have a penalty on the first play. Face mask call against Cincinnati.
First down.
As Higgs had picked up 4, and then Crumry comes in, number 69. Gets a hold of the face mask, and that costs them 5 yards and makes it a first down up at the 29-yard line. And actually what it does is it makes it 1st and 1 after the play. We had a similar play last week as Higgs picks up 4 to the 33. We had that continuous action call last week, which set up a 1st and 4, and we come right back with a 1st and 1 this week.
We hadn't seen one of those in maybe 3 or 4 years, and now we see 2 in 2 consecutive quarters. And it may be another 3 or 4 years until you run into that obscure rule in the NFL rule book, a continuous action penalty. And don't ask me to explain it. And quite frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And maybe it'll be another 3 years. First down, Miami at the 33-yard line. Higgs again finds some room, and Higgs has been a big spark plug for them. He started the year as their number 1 running back because Sammy Smith was hurt. Then Smith took over and had 3 very costly fumbles. They gave Higgs the job back last week, and he responded beautifully against the Bucs.
And when you go into a season just assuming that Sammy Smith is going to be your number 1 guy, and there's Smith on the sidelines who's had some real problems putting the ball down on the field. Incredibly, Higgs has a shot at a 1,000-yard season. He has to average a little over 90 yards a game for the remaining 3 games of the season, and he'll do it. And that is, but there's the big number last week. Look at that, 5.2 yards a carry. That'll win ball games for him.
He got 7 on that last carry. Here's the play fake on 2nd and 3, and Marino's pass is incomplete, intended for Mark Duper at the 50-yard line. He was covered by Haddix, and it will be 3rd and 3.
And well covered by Haddix, too. And Al and Dan both touched on the fact that this is Cincinnati Bengal team is last place in the league against the pass, and going against Marino, that can make it awfully tough. But if you can run the ball, as some much well knows, if you can run the ball as Miami would like to do, it's going to make their passing game even that more devastating.
3rd down and 3 from the 39-yard line. No score early first quarter. Marino out of the shotgun for the first time. He's flanked by Jim Jensen and throws quickly on a slant to Clayton, and Clayton fights his way for a first down up to the 45-yard line.
Boy, Cincinnati gambled that time and only rushed their 2 inside guys.
You can look at them again, Dan. They're none of them in a 3-point position.
No.
Cincinnati does a lot of strange things. Look at this. There's not one lineman in a down position. They all come like they bring 2 down linemen, but they're from a stand-up position.
Yeah, actually, both linebackers come, and the 2 tackles end up dropping back. Crumry and Tua Tagovailoa drop back as inside linebackers, and still Marino completes it in the middle.
Back-to-back first downs for the Dolphins, and here's Higgs picking up 6. And again, Miami's potent offense working against a very sieve-like defense, and that's the way this one begins, with Miami on the move. Zander makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Now, one thing Higgs is doing is running behind a healthy Miami Dolphin offensive line, really the best condition they've been in all year long. Over in the left side, Richmond Webb and Keith Sims and Uhlenhake in the middle, Galbraith and Dennis, and they're healthy, they're strong, and they have the big tight end Farrell Edmonds in there, and he is a fine blocker. He's 6'6", and he's 250. He's like having another offensive tackle, big number 80.
And against an unhealthy Cincinnati defensive line, they're missing David Grant, with Tua Tagovailoa taking over in his spot. On 2nd and 4, Clayton reaches up for it, makes the catch. That's a first down. Eric Thomas with the coverage, another first down.
I'll tell you, Thomas covered Clayton as well as you ever want to cover somebody, and that ball was delivered so quickly. Now, Thomas has got to respect the speed of Clayton, because he'll go deep. Thomas, not bad coverage when you're on man for man. But Marino, on the break of Clayton, just fired it right on a string to the gifted wide receiver. Look at that. Thomas got back into the play, but you're not going to get back in time to make the play if you're covering him properly to take away the deep pass.
First down, Miami at the Bengal 44, 11:21 remaining in the first quarter. Marino under pressure and then throws incomplete, intended for Higgs, threw it at his feet, and Alonzo Mitz, number 99, got the penetration that time, forcing Marino to throw it into the ground in effect. 2nd and 10.
Boy, Mitz just put an outside move on Harry Galbraith, the right guard, and went by him like Galbraith was mesmerized for some reason. A good move there by Alonzo Mitz, and you know, that's the kind of thing Dan Marino can do. You know, he's not flashy, he can't roll out like Montana, but there's an excellent instance of where he could have easily been sacked, but had that pocket presence to take the half step and evade the rush.
2nd and 10 Dolphins at the Cincinnati 43. They pick up Fulcher's blitz, and that opens it up in the secondary, and Duper scores.
What great pass protection. Just great pass protection by the Dolphin line. And Mark Duper just blows by Thomas.
Again, that's what Thomas was concerned about earlier with Clayton. Remember a moment ago we watched Thomas, this time playing a little tight. He gets in a little too close. This time it's Duper, not Clayton. But they're almost interchangeable on the deep pass patterns. Duper blows right by him. And again, Dan, well, I'll tell you, he must have had a good 4 or 5 seconds to deliver that football. And you give Marino that time, he's going to just carve you to pieces.
And he only then threw it because he wanted to, not because he had to.
Stoyanovich for the point after. And 3 minutes and 50 seconds into the game, Miami, with its explosive offense, had not scored a touchdown on a 40-yard pass since opening day. That one good from 43, Marino to Duper. The Cincinnati defense proving porous on Miami's first possession as the Dolphins march 80 yards in 3 minutes 50 seconds. Marino hits Duper. It's almost as if they're posing for that shot.
And he's
there
coming
they
upstairs
are.
to see if they have any more like that.
I'm sure they do.
Good pickup of the safety blitz. David Fulcher trying to come on the safety blitz and He was just leveled. Straightened up, stopped. Marino had all the time in the world.
Pete Stoyanovich to kick. Shane Garrett and Mitchell Price are back to receive for the Bengals. At the goal line, Shane Garrett. Up past the 20 and knocked down at the 23, and there's a marker down at the 11-yard line. Referee tonight is Dale Hamer, and it appears to be holding against the Bengals.
Illegal block. Number 96 on the return. Penalized half the distance to the goal. First down.
Half the distance from the spot, and that puts it back at the 6-yard line.
Number 96 is Natu Tuatagaloa, and there he is right in the middle of the screen, and pretty blatant. Even though it wasn't a vicious hit, it was still both hands on the back of the Dolphin, and that'll bring it every time.
Bengals pinned at their own 6-yard line. Caddis in motion, and they begin on the ground with Harold Green bumping his way up to the 10, and there's another flag. Gain of 4. David Griggs, 92, the outside backer, makes the tackle, and another penalty against Cincinnati. So that's the third penalty against the Bengals already. One on offense, one on a run back, and one on defense when Miami had the ball. Boomer Esiason, and anytime a quarterback has more interceptions than touchdowns, he's not having a good season.
Illegal motion. The right tight end of the offense.
Green
half the distance to the goal.
and Taylor start as the running backs. McGee and Brown are the wideouts. Each has caught 44. Holman is the tight end. And up front, Munoz, dislocated elbow, out for the season. Strafford takes his spot. Kozerski started the year at center. Arthur, Moyer, and Walter. And Arthur, the center, making his first NFL start. It's 1st and 13 from the 3. Green finds room and gets taken down as he reaches the 11-yard line. Griggs drops him from behind, and it will be 2nd down and roughly 5. Now the Miami defense. Turner, Klingbeil is the 5th different nose tackle to start for the Dolphins this year, and Cross. Griggs, Odoms, and Reichenbach inside. Brian Cox, good-looking rookie outside backer. Vesti Jackson, the former Bear, and J.B. Brown of the corners. Harden replacing the injured Jarvis Williams, who was hurt 3 weeks ago. Oliver having a good year. 2nd and 4 at the 12. 5 minutes into the game. 7-0 Miami. And they send the sole back. Green in motion. Esiason, that short drop, hits Brown. And Brown is out of bounds. Should have the first down. They'll spot it close to the 17. He is pushed out by Brown. Well, Esiason, if nothing else, trying to get the Bengals stirred up, and we shot this tape about an hour before game time.
I think he should have gathered the defense around him also. This is just the offense. But there is an intensity, and as Sam Watts has told us over and over, this team really hasn't given up. They have played hard in every game.
Here's Green cutting it back, and Green picks up 7 out to the 24. I don't think the Bengals are quite ready to make the transition, the changing of the guard from James Brooks to Harold Green, but sooner or later it's going to happen.
And it's going to happen for the two most obvious reasons. One, that Harold Green has immense talent and has shown the ability and the toughness to run in this league. And James Brooks next year will be in his 12th year in the National Football League. And as remarkable as he's been, that's still old.
Green picks up a first down. And Brooks, by the way, in uniform tonight, was not last week with a twisted ankle, but available to play tonight.
And there is one of the great ones ever to play this game. But you're right, Harold Green has developed into an outstanding running back. And keep in mind, he's been running behind an offensive line that's been devastated all season long by holdouts, by injuries, and he still gets it done. He's had 300-yard games. We saw him 141 yards against Buffalo earlier.
1st and 10 from the 32. Esiason hit as he throws. There's a flag down. Rodney Holman, the tight end, gets buried by a quartet of Dolphins at the 49, but a marker is down back at the 26-yard line.
There's a look at the Cincinnati Bengals no-huddle offense. Esiason stepped up, saw what he wanted defensively, and went on a quick count and caught Miami kind of napping there.
Yeah, but Cincinnati, unfortunately for them, wasn't set at the snap.
Motion, number 82, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Rodney Holman was still getting down in his stance at the beginning of the play, and that's it has been an array of mistakes for Cincinnati already tonight.
I think most people are familiar with the no-huddle offense of Cincinnati. Boomer Esiason runs it so well when it's going well. Calls the play at the line of scrimmage, tries to keep the defense from changing, and he's very good at it.
1st and 15, Bengals from the 27-yard line. And this is Craig Taylor, the third-year running back out of West Virginia, bringing it up to about the 32 with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter, and Miami up on top 7-0. And the Bengals, as you see, are the only team of the 28 in the league to have not scored a touchdown on their first possession of any game this season. This game number 14 for them. And if they do it here, well, they'll have to go 94 yards because the drive started at the 6.
It's the same team to beat the Giants last week 27-24, and they didn't have a turnover first time this season. So they are potent, they are dangerous, and Don Shula of the Dolphins is well aware.
2nd and 12 at the 30-yard line. Brown comes in motion. Esiason looks that way, hits Brown, and Brown can't slip a tackle at the 35. J.B. Brown got him by the ankle, and it's going to be 3rd and roughly 7.
Boy, when Eddie Brown makes that move on J.B. Brown, I thought for sure that he was going to break loose and pick up some great yardage. That was just an excellent tackle by J.B. Brown. I thought that was a pretty slick move by Eddie Brown. Boomer just again a safe, secure pass. But watch this move to the outside by Eddie Brown. That's a pretty good little juke. And J.B. Brown only has one forearm on the right leg of Brown, but that's good enough to bring him down.
3rd and 7 from the 35, out of the shotgun. Esiason pump faking twice, waiting, throwing, and has it knocked down by Lewis Oliver, who's angry he didn't have the pick off at the 50. Intended for Tim McGee, who was covered very well.
Oliver laying way back in that Miami zone. He read Esiason all the way. He had about a 5-yard sprint for that ball, and he's got 5 interceptions. That's why he was so upset about it. Look at him charging, even before Esiason delivered it. And he had a great chance to make it number 6, and he knows it.
Not often that you'll find a free safety in the NFL, though, given that opportunity, that doesn't come away with the football.
Lee Johnson having a good season, averaging almost 44 yards a kick. This is not a good kick. Bouncing into the hands of Scott Miller at the 22, and the rookie from UCLA is tackled up at the 29-yard line. And that's where Miami will begin its next possession. 6 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Bengals still haven't scored a TD on any opening drive this year, and it's 7-0 Miami. Good matchup next week. Two teams who've not met that often through the years. The Raiders against the Saints. And who would have believed a couple of weeks ago that going into the next to last week of the season, the Raiders would have clinched a playoff spot and the Saints would not have.
You're right.
But the Saints have lost 4 straight. Raiders come in after that loss to Buffalo yesterday. Next week from New Orleans. From the 29-yard line, Mark Higgs picks up 3, tackled at the 32 by Crumry and Mitz. Cincy and Miami. Cincinnati came into the league in '68 as an AFL expansion team, and the last time the Bengals won in that first year, Sam White was the starting quarterback. He hit Bob Trumpy on an 80-yard touchdown pass and then fractured his ankle and spent the rest of the season on injured reserve. If they had such a thing at that time. I can't remember.
I'm taking your word for it.
Well, let's put it this way. He didn't play another down. 2nd and 7 from the 32-yard line as the catch is made by Duper. And Duper is tackled at the 37 by Barker. He is short of the first down by 2.
At the time, Duper is trying to make big things happen when he perhaps could have just planted that right foot and lowered the head and got the first down. He comes up a couple of yards short, but both these two backs, Duper and Clayton, they'll run well with the football after they catch the ball. And Marino this time just sending a little crossing pattern underneath Clayton, who was going deep along with Tony Martin.
A little more than 5 minutes to play in the quarter. 7-0 Miami. 3rd and a long 2 at the 37-yard line. Page and Higgs split in the backfield, and they give it to Higgs, and there's no room, and so the Bengals turn in a good defensive play, and they'll get it back James Francis, the second-year linebacker out of Baylor, makes the tackle.
Francis, a first-round draft pick, closed down. He made a good play on that, stuffed it up. And the Dolphins will have to kick away. Francis led in sacks a year ago, had a lot of promise. Of course, like the rest of the Bengal team, really has struggled this year. He only has 2 sacks going in to tonight's game.
Reggie Roby averaging 44.9. That won't hurt it. Taken at the 10-yard line by Mitchell Price, who ran one all the way back against the Giants last week. This time he takes it back to the 30. Edmonds makes the tackle, and the Bengals will begin their next possession from that spot after a 53-yard Reggie Roby kick. 4:13 remaining in the opening quarter. 7-0 Dolphins.
I mean, here he is, the great one. Look at the extension by Reggie Roby. 2 things here. The left foot never comes off the ground, and look at the right leg, absolutely vertical. That punt didn't have a lot of hang time. It was 53 yards, but there was a 20-yard return involved because it was low.
Here's Harold Green, nothing doing to his left. He gets a block and cuts back the other way, and he turns nothing into a little something anyway. About a 3-yard gain. There's a flag down back at the 24. Bobby Harden makes the hit.
And the flag involved Boomer and Klingbeil, the nose guard. Boomer, of all people, I admire his tenacity, but he shouldn't be trying to throw a block. And I wonder if something happened if Klingbeil didn't do something to Boomer, because the flag was thrown right where the 2 of them were. Boomer came back and kind of threw himself and put Klingbeil on the ground. And then when they were trying to get up, something happened because Dale Hamer threw the flag right at them. Watch Boomer here at the end of this play. All right, Green's hung up, heads the other way. There's the block by Boomer, and we're going to lose it because we followed the ball. And Dale Hamer makes no announcement. Wouldn't you know it?
Well, the result is a 1st and 10 up at the 47-yard line. Esiason with great protection, and then fires over the middle and hits the open man Brown, and he takes it to the Miami 25-yard line where he's tackled by Oliver. 27-yard pickup.
And the Bengals will hurry up, move up to the line of scrimmage to make sure the Dolphins do not move into any kind of a different defense. He's happy with that when they played his zone against Eddie Brown, who last week came back after missing a couple of weeks with a hernia operation. Played 3 weeks ago, went in for the operation, played last week, and just made a great catch for the Bengals.
3:10 left, first quarter, 7-0 Miami. On 1st and 10, here is Green swinging to the outside, and then he is bumped down by Vesti Jackson after a gain of 3.
Only Al would call that a bump. That was a bump with a capital B. That was a major collision between Jackson and Green.
Kind of hard to get the replays in sometimes with Cincinnati, but Eddie Brown took it very deep across the middle, and the key to it was that Esiason got good pass protection. The Bengals don't rush the pass all that well, but the Dolphins don't do it a whole lot better. They only have 26 sacks, while the Bengals have 14. Neither one of them up there in big numbers.
2nd down and 7 from the 22-yard line. Esiason fires, and it's dropped. It would have been a touchdown for Eddie Brown.
And I'm sure when Boomer let that go, he was just waiting to hear the crowd groan because he threw a touchdown pass in enemy territory, because he got whacked when he let that ball go. He throws a perfect strike to Eddie Brown, who's got man coverage by Jackson. And you can see it for yourself.
He could do that for a month and never drop that pass right into his hands. No problem whatsoever. The ball wasn't thrown hard. Jackson really didn't interfere with it. He'll dream about it tonight and for a long time to come.
Griggs was the guy who knocked Esiason down. It's 3rd down and 7 now, and Boomer throws underneath, and that one is dropped by James Brooks, who couldn't make the one-handed catch. Well, when you're 2 and 11 and there's this little skirmish here with Griggs involved and Esiason involved.
Here we go.
T.J. Turner is in there as well.
I think it all started when somebody wouldn't let go of Esiason's leg. He had his leg trapped, and he finally started to kick himself free, and That brought in all the friendlies.
And then Ken Moyer came in, and now Boomer's still in the middle of it. Well, one thing for sure, when your quarterback gets involved in a shoving match, one of your offensive linemen is going to be there in a hurry. It's instinctive for an offensive lineman to be protective of his quarterback, and that's just going to be an automatic. If Boomer starts pushing and shoving, there's going to be a fight because he's going to have 5 offensive linemen be right behind him.
Well, one of the bright lights for Cincinnati is out on the field now as T.J. Turner, who was involved, goes back to the bench. Cincinnati does take a timeout preparatory to Jim Breach coming in to attempt what will be about a 39-yard field goal when we come back.
The Raiders meet the Saints. It's gonna be a sight. A party in the Superdome here on Monday night.
Esiason on the offense on the sidelines as Breach, who has been a beacon in this dreary season for the Bengals. He's only missed twice in 20 attempts. And this is a 39-yard attempt with Lee Johnson to hold, who's spotted at the 29 to try to pull the Bengals within 4.
Oh.
And Breach's kick is no good.
That kind of year. And he's had that good year, quite frankly, Al, because the Bengals have been down there in the red zone so many times and have not got into the end zone, and he's had a great opportunity to kick in from close.
And look at the drive Cincinnati put together. I mean, they overcame penalties, a dropped touchdown pass, and now a missed field goal. I mean, you wonder how many things can they overcome. I mean, again, Sam Weiss keeps talking about the fact my team has never quit. The effort is still there. All of that was visible on that drive by their offense, and yet no points.
Well, a lot of things go into the makings of a 2-11 season. A lot of drop passes this year, several drop touchdown passes. Another example on that last drive, instead of the game being tied or even 7-3 at this point, it's still 7-0 as Marino drops back, buys a lot of time, and then fires up at the 22-yard line to Tony Page. And the fullback takes it to the 31. That's a gain of 9. Xander makes the stop, and you're looking about at maybe your number 3 or 4 receiver on that play, but he had all that time, and he finds him.
Not a great one, too. Marino always knows where he is. And Page is always going to give him a target underneath. He looks for Duper. He looks for Clayton. They're not there, but he knows where Page is going to be. And Page ended tonight with, that's his 40th reception of the season. So he has been a definite asset in the passing game for Miami.
2nd and 2 at the 30. A minute and a half to go in the first quarter. Miami up 7-0. Here's Higgs, and he appears to be a little short of the first down as Alonzo Mitz makes the tackle. Airship Shamu, based in Orlando, not far from Miami, providing the picture. Shamu from SeaWorld above Joe Robbie Stadium.
And I don't know that there's a prettier stadium from a blimp shot than Joe Robbie Stadium here in Miami. It's unusual. Notice how far these sidelines are from the stands. It's a square field down here, and the sideline seats are a long way away, but from the air, it's spectacular.
3rd and 1 from the 31, and Higgs picks up the first down. And one of the reasons, of course, they built this stadium in such a fashion was to hopefully, at that point, lure baseball someday, and their dreams come true, of course, in '93 when the Florida Marlins become a part of the National League right here.
A little more square than Giants Stadium up in East Rutherford, the same architectural firm that designed Giants Stadium. And again, that's a beautiful sight from the air.
Fish are big here. Dolphins, Marlins.
We did that.
Many fish.
What? Stone crabs. First down from the 33-yard line. Marino fires to the far side. The catch is made by Duper. That's a first down with 8 ticks remaining in the quarter. Up at the 44-yard line, Thomas makes the tackle.
Just amazing. These two marks, Duper and Clayton, nearly 950 receptions from Marino over their careers, and they do a lot of them like this. They have a remarkable percentage of first downs on receptions. Steve Hurt went back, looked it up. I don't have the exact figures. We'll get it to you, but I mean, they don't catch that 3 or 4 yard hook, that little 5-yard slant. They go downfield, and 85% of the receptions that the two marks have been for first down. That's really remarkable.
I know one thing. Eric Thomas is saying, have we only played 15 minutes?
It's 7-0 Miami, and Monday Night Football returns after this message and a word from our ABC station. second quarter in Miami. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Dierdorf on a warm mid-December Florida evening. 15th week coming to a climax here. Start the second period, 7-0 Dolphins. First down Miami from their own 44-yard line. Tony Page makes the catch and takes the ball to the Cincinnati 46-yard line, where he loses it, but only after the play had been whistled dead. Zander and Barker in on the hit, and it's close to a first down.
There was no disputing that. Tony was down. And when you look at Tony Page, and you were picking the guys who are going to be a big part of your passing game, in stature, I don't think Page would be the guy that you would immediately pick. Look how effectively he covers up the ball. Ooh, and that ball is close to being out, but I think his knees were on the ground already, even though the torso of his body was still 18 inches above the ground.
Just short of the first down, second in inches, and they pick up the first and a lot more as Higgs is inside the 30 and gets to the 25-yard line. Hannix makes the tackle on Mark Higgs.
What a hole at the line of scrimmage. And when a team is not doing well, one of the first things you look for is tackling, because tackling is effort and desire. There we have a missed tackle by Bussey, and then 3 Dolphins go for the ride, Frank.
Great block by Richmond Webb and Tony Page, number 49, with a superb block, and Higgs explodes down inside the 25.
Sammy Smith now comes in as the tailback as Higgs gets a rest. And they give it to Smith, and he picks up only a couple to the 23-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 8, and Lamar Rogers is in on the tackle.
And in something I can hardly believe, the Miami crowd here at Joe Robbie Stadium boos the fact that Sammy Smith carried the ball and didn't get a lot of yardage. That's a little tough to take at this stage of the ball game.
A lot of memories of 3 previous fumbles by Sammy Smith. First down fumbles inside the 5 a couple of times early, Houston, Kansas City, and then against Chicago, and they are very vivid in the minds of the Miami Dolphin fans.
He also had over 1,000 yards last year. I'd think back to that as well, though.
Short memories. 2nd and 8. Marino gets sacked by Tim Crumry, who gets burrowing forward, and that's Crumry's 4th sack of the year. Not bad for a nose tackle, but what is bad is that leads the team. 4 sacks in week 14.
And Marino, that's his 22nd sack. That's the all-time high for Marino. He usually will find somewhere to put it. This time he looks downfield, good coverage, and Crumry just bowls his way in, is able to get to Dan Marino. We already talked about Dan not being one of the quickest guys moving around in the pocket, but Crumry was right there giving him nowhere to go.
3rd and 17. At the 32, that's only the 15th sack for the Bengals this season. That's the same total that Pat Swilling has individually with New Orleans. 3rd and 17, Marino throws, it's tipped, and it's incomplete. Good coverage by the Bengals. The only aqua shirt in the area belonged to Tony Martin, and Natu Tuatagaloa got a hand on it. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Old Spice Fragrance and Aftershave. Cool, crisp, and unmistakably masculine Old Spice. And by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember, Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. This is a 50-yard field goal attempt for Pete Stoyanovich, having a great year.
Oh, he can reach it. There it is, 53, early in the year against Kansas City.
He says he won't be happy until he breaks Dempsey's record of 63.
And Stoyanovich kicks it dead center. Despite going down after he boots it, straight and true. 10-0 Miami. Now time for our regular feature on what's new in the world of sports science and technology.
Sports and science converge.
Straight down the middle, 50 yards out.
And after this kick, we want to show you a replay. I think you'll find most interesting is he actually struck that ball slipping.
10-0 Miami, 11:57 remaining in the half. Stojanovic. To the 2-yard line. Shane Garrett, the rookie from Texas A&M, is taken down at the 19-yard line by Lewis Cooper. And here's a bit of artwork, visual artwork.
All right, now watch this. Scott Secules, first of all, watch him spin the ball, but look to the left side of your screen, the plant foot of Stojanovic. Notice how it's slipping? I mean, he is actually sliding as he strikes the ball, ends up on his rear end, and still has enough on it to get it over the crossbar by a good 2 to 3 yards.
And you saw the difference of kicking off the artificial surface in the grass. That ball down in the grass, Stojanovic had to go down and get it to pop it up into the air. He did a great job.
I mean, really, to think that he still had that much power as he was sliding. Just a remarkable effort by Stojanovic.
1st and 10 at the 19, and Esiason throws, and the catch
he was out of bounds
by Barber, but if he didn't come back in, then that is the all-time optical illusion.
You know, he was clearly out of bounds and came back in.
Well, you saw the official's hat fly into the scene.
I thought he came off the bench. I caught him out of the corner of my eye coming back onto the field. Take a look at this. Barber's at the top of your picture.
Illegally touching the ball.
He is way out.
The receiver went out of bounds and came back and was first to touch the ball.
Yes,
Penalty is lost it down only.
J.B. Brown, of course, making sure that he was out of bounds. J.B. Brown up tight in the zone defense, zone coverage over there, just gave him a little shove and out of bounds he went.
And then Lewis Oliver coming over trying to make sure he was out of this zip code with that hit. He knocked Barber all the way back from whence he came back into the Cincinnati bench.
Don Shula watching his team up by 10, trying to go 8-6. They'll go to San Diego next week, and then end the season here against the Jets in the game that could determine the last AFC playoff spot. 2nd and 10, Green swings to the outside, and Harold Green gets hit down by Jackson up at the 22-yard line.
What an unusual set of circumstances this is for Cincinnati tonight, going without the great Anthony Munoz at left tackle. One of the great nicknames his teammates call him Eraser. They call him the Eraser because the guy across from him is not a factor. His tackle chart has nothing on it, and Munoz not here tonight. Strafford replacing him, sliding over from guard, but the old term big shoes to fill doesn't even apply here.
3rd and 7. Strafford does the job on his man, and Esiason hits Brown for a first down. Jackson initially hit him, and then he's taken down and lost the ball after the play was whistled dead. Chris Green finished the hit, and that's a Cincinnati first down.
Eddie Brown fighting for yardage, probably still keeping in mind that drop touchdown pass that he had. He is a great competitor. There he is out of the University of Miami. He does get the first down. 2 fine wide receivers, McGee and Eddie Brown, and a good tight end, Pro Bowl tight end Rodney Holman.
10.5 minutes left in the half. 10-0 Miami. Esiason, that great play fake on first down, freezes everybody, goes deep and incomplete off the fingertips of the intended receiver, Tim McGee.
What a great pass by Esiason. He made it catchable, and he had to throw it absolutely perfect to make it catchable. Understandably, it was dropped by McGee, but he gave McGee a chance to make a great effort. It was pretty good coverage. Look at the play fake. He hides this ball. Everyone on the Miami defense bought that.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And Boomer, who's supposed to have a sore shoulder, sure didn't look like it on that throw.
A little pinky tape to the ring finger of his left hand, and McGee gave it the best effort and just couldn't haul it in.
That's about a 60-yard pass in the air. 2nd down, 10. They swing it out to Taylor, and he gets up to the 45 where he's a little short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd and 1 at the 45-yard line.
I think Boomer was serving notice on the Miami defense that the reports of the demise of my shoulder are greatly exaggerated. That was, as Frank said, an absolutely perfect pass.
That's the first pass he's completed to anybody beside Eddie Brown. It's 3rd and 1 at the 45-yard line. 9:45 to go in the half. Brooks behind Taylor, and JB picks up 4, and that keeps the drive going up at the 49-yard line. First down, Cincinnati.
We talked about Brooks in his 11th year. If he gives you a little bit more than Harold Green in the backfield, it's that he is such a fine receiver. You can use Brooks in a slot position. We've seen him many times as a wingback. He usually has remarkable numbers both receiving and rushing, and keeping in mind he's only a 180-pounder. He just is in remarkable condition, but look at those marks he's hung up in his career.
Caddis in motion. Esiason retreats, throws, and that's dropped by Taylor. He wasn't going very far anyway. J.B. Brown was with him. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 49-yard line.
You know, getting back to James Brooks, you know, in boxing, they always refer to Julio Cesar Chavez as maybe the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I'm not sure that for years in the National Football League that pound-for-pound James Brooks wasn't the best player in the NFL. I mean, you talk about a guy who plays big. There's a guy that played much bigger than he really is.
Great trade for the Bengals early on. Brooks started his career at San Diego. Here's Green taking it to the 45, and there's a marker down. Cliff Odom in on the tackle. And Dale Hamer will tell us about it. Apparently against Miami. Pretty good indication of that is when you talk to Esiason.
I didn't want to tell everybody how you do it.
Offside. Number 91 of the defense. Penalty is accepted. Second down.
It was not for me to tell everybody your little trade secrets.
The way this year has gone, you never know.
That's true.
I don't believe anything until it's official.
Could have been a continuous motion penalty.
That's right. And it would have been 2nd and 11 3/4. Here's Green, and that is enough for a first down as he takes it to the 41-yard line and tackled by Odom.
The Cincinnati offensive line is a makeshift one. We've talked about it earlier. Crawford over there for Munoz and Kozierski at left guard. They have youngsters on the right side that have not played together. Arthur at center. They're doing a pretty good job. Over the left side, Crawford is kind of interesting. Rookie free agent of a year ago. He only weighs about 250 pounds, and for an offensive left tackle, big number 76 is not very big. Big upper body, but very small in the legs.
Well, he's fortunate tonight as we see the Cincinnati first down that they're going against one of the smaller defensive lines in the National Football League. So that'll hurt them less than you could see maybe on a normal night. And look at that. Outscored 156 to only 44 in the second quarter. No wonder they've only won 2 ball games.
1st and 10 at the 41-yard line. There's the fake to Taylor. He freezes most of the backers again, but then the pass is too high, intended for Green, who was covered by Cox.
Well, that one could have been caught, and again, I go back to what I said a few moments ago. James Brooks coming out of that backfield has a little something that Green doesn't. Green's a better runner at this point. Maybe Green will develop it, but that's one you go up and a little earlier and you come down with it. He was looking around to see where the traffic was going to be. That was also a wide open field in front of him for a first down and more yardage.
2nd and 10 at the 41. 8:19 left in the half. 10-0 Dolphins. Play clock down to 5. Esiason rifles one over the middle. The catch is made by Eric Caddis. A first down at the 17-yard line. That magnificent Esiason ball handling, buying that precious time for him.
And Caddis looks like he's going to head to the sidelines. He's shaken up somehow after getting a pretty good pop. I think it was Lewis Oliver that banged him after that play. And Bo Schembechler, who's up here in the booth with us, applauds the catch by one of his former players there, Caddis from Michigan.
Bo was giving him a pep talk before the game. 19-yard gain from the 17-yard line. Esiason throws to the end zone, and it's knocked away at the last moment by J.B. Brown. Intended for Tim McGee.
Well, Fine effort by Brown. He got himself in a little bit of trouble. He had good position, got hung up just a little bit, but was able to recover and get the deflection.
But you know what he did, Frank? Watch him there up in the upper left. Watch how he never takes his eye off the quarterback. That's how he's able to time his leap to the football. He never turned his back to the quarterback, never lost sight of the football, and knew when to make his play on the ball.
His other helper was the back of that end zone, and he knew exactly where he was.
Before the play, the marker comes in.
Start. Number 64, the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's the veteran Bruce Kozerski, who started the season at center and is now the left guard. Well, speaking of Bo Schembechler, just in case you can't finish the game, Dan.
Well, he's got a year experience under his belt. Bo's down here for the baseball winter meetings, and Bo, I see Bonilla got 29 million. I can hit the curveball. I really can.
2nd and 15 at the 22. This drive began at the Cincinnati 19-yard line. Esiason lost it for Brown, who makes the catch, but he's out of bounds. Michael Magruder was covering on the play.
Well, it's still a heck of a catch. He was well out of bounds, but that shouldn't take away from the artistry of that catch. Watch the body control here by Eddie Brown.
In actuality, Esiason hung that up out of bounds for him. It would have been a very difficult catch for him. Esiason leads him a little more to the inside. He could put 6 in the bank.
There was excellent coverage by Magruder, who played the field.
3rd and 15. Esiason from the shotgun drops it underneath. Brown makes the catch. Brown takes it to the 9, but that's a little short of the first down.
But an interesting call here. A team that's out of the playoffs, you know, maybe making a run for the playoffs, the field goal is automatic. Here's something where when a team has nothing to lose, going for the first down isn't nearly the gamble that it would be if you had to worry about winning this ball game, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Cincinnati's going to go for it. This is what Don Shula and any other coach in the league hates about playing a team that's out of it.
4th down, a long one, a short 2. It's your call, but before Esiason makes the call, he takes a timeout. And that stops the clock with 6:42 remaining in the first half. It's still 10-0 Miami. Back at Joe Robbie Stadium, Miami, 6:42 left first half, 10-0 Dolphins. And the Bengals, after taking the timeout, now elect to kick a field goal. A 27-yard attempt for Jim Breach, and the kick is good. So they appeared ready to go for it. Then they figure, hey, look, we need a field goal anyway, down by 10. Breach boots it through, and that makes it 10-3 with 6:38 to go in the half. We have for you this Saturday the top money winners on the senior tour tee off in the New York Life Champions Tournament. 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 Central and Pacific. Lee Trevino and the gang coming your way Saturday right here on ABC Sports.
Yeah, they're fun to watch.
Bengals with Lee Johnson putting it in the air. Bounces at the 9, fielded by Mark Logan at the 2, and the former Bengal brings it back out to the 33-yard line, loses the ball, but after he was down. Logan spent his first couple of years in the league in Cincinnati, and Miami has it at the 33-yard line from Marino, who's completed 7 of his first 10.
You know, Logan's Plan B player. It's interesting. One of the criticisms of Cincinnati has been they have not taken part in Plan B. And you look down in the football field and you see the Miami Dolphins. They have 2 Plan B backs in their backfield at the moment. Higgs, who is Plan B from Philadelphia. They have Tony Page, Plan B from Detroit. And it's made quite a difference in this ball club. One of the reasons that they are 7-6.
First down at the 33-yard line. Marino throws. Page makes the catch. And he's taken down by Ricky Dixon after a gain of 6 at the 39-yard line.
Once again, Page covering up the football. But what I said earlier, Cincinnati, I think, have only signed 3 Plan B players since Plan B was in operation. And here is one of them from Detroit. Good blocker and works well out of the backfield. As I said earlier, Marino always knows where he is. If he looks downfield, the marks are covered. He finds this man, 49.
Second and 4. Marino dumps it off, finds Page again, and the safety valve turns it into a first down. Loses the ball, but it goes out of bounds. Hit by Zander and Thomas.
That was a stout hit downfield.
The ball was fumbled forward out of bounds. It'll be returned to the spot of the fumble. First down.
Watch the hit here, and you can see the ball is free, and it is away from Tony Page. When the ball is fumbled forward like that out of bounds, they come back and mark it at the spot of the fumble, but Page had already picked up the first down. And that was not a question of him not protecting the ball. That was just a perfect helmet placement and a solid hit, jarring it loose.
First and 10, Miami at the 45-yard line. Higgs! Ooh, what a shot after a 7-yard gain.
Ricky Dixon again is the guy who came in and hit made the cleanup hit. Fulcher was there first, but there's Ricky Dixon for the second time this drive that really drives the hammer to the head of the nail.
And Higgs gave us a little twirling finger, said, get me out of here for just a moment. I want to think about this. Here's the collision, and it is violent. Head on head.
Whoa.
And boy, that's noisy, and even the official goes down.
John Keck, the umpire.
He gets it from behind. I think Carl Zander hit him from behind.
Flipped him. Sammy Smith is in. Higgs on the bench. Second and 2. Catch is made by Sammy Smith. And he takes it to the 40, and that's a Dolphin first down with 4:30 to go in the half. And Parker makes the tackle, and now the crowd loves Sammy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're taking a long look at Higgs and looking for any dilation of the eyes. Might indicate that he might have caught himself a little bit of a concussion. You know all the questions, Dan.
Yes, and they're relatively simple.
But aren't they vague when you've been thumped a little bit? I'm where? Miami? Really? Here I am. I'm in Miami?
Under 4 minutes remaining in the half. Dolphins up 10-3. First down from the 40. Marino with a lot of time, throws, and that's Page making another catch. Tackled at the 34-yard line, gain of 6. Eric Thomas in on the hit.
You know, Page, you just can't judge a player by the way he looks. I mean, Tony is short, he is rotund. I mean, he's 5'10", 240 pounds, and yet look how nimble he is coming out of the backfield, the softness of his hands. And a guy with excess of 40 catches on the season when he looks like a guard who's playing out of position back there in the backfield.
5 catches tonight and now 44 for the year. Marino is 11 of 14. Second and 4 at the 34-yard line. Here's Sammy Smith. And he's short of the first down by a couple. Pushed back by Ricky Dixon initially. So it'll be third down and about 2 now for Marino.
And this is where, if the Cincinnati defense is to stiffen, this would be the opportune time.
Miami comes with 4 wide receivers, and they bring in very dangerous receiver. Jim Jensen comes in, number 11, and he is right on the same page with Marino. He's kind of an emergency quarterback, has a great head on his shoulders, and when Marino can't find something deep, he looks for him.
Third and a long 2 out of the gun from the 33-yard line. 4-man Bengal rush. Marino steps away, then fires. Catch made, flag down. The rookie Scott Miller makes the catch for what would be a first down at the 23-yard line. Let's see about the call. Clock stops with 2:16 to play against the Bengals.
Holding. Defense. Number 32. The penalty is declined. First down.
Mitchell Price, who comes in their dime set. Quick look at it as they work now on Smith.
Price is working on the slot receiver, and boy, that was not much of a bump on Scott Miller. Whoa, that was tight.
2-minute warning.
And before the Dolphins get the playoff, we've come to the 2-minute warning. That last call against Price. It's still Miami by 7. The NFL Wednesday lineup on ABC beginning at 8 o'clock, 7 Central and Mountain. Dinosaurs in the Wonder Years, Doogie Howser, MD. Anything But Love and Civil Wars. The Wednesday night primetime lineup right here on ABC.
While we were away, Sammy Smith went into the locker room where at the 2-minute warning they looked like they were looking at his left shoulder.
They're x-raying his left shoulder. Meanwhile, first down Miami as Higgs takes the toss from 23 and gets tackled at the 19-yard line by James Francis. So the Dolphins up by 7. Have it 2nd down and 6 at the 19-yard line. Miami has all 3 timeouts remaining. Clock down to 1:30. 2nd and 6 at the 19-yard line. Marino, Clayton juggles and makes the catch for the touchdown.
72.
Really, as a highlight film catch a couple weeks ago in Chicago, flat on his back. And now, talk about concentration and staying with the football. Wayne Haddix is the Cincinnati defensive back, and look at the coverage. And look at Mark Clayton just stay with the ball. He gets a fortuitous bounce and converts it into a touchdown.
And if we could get a look at Tony Page making a key block on a blitz of Cincinnati. Tony Page staying in, showing what else he can do. He made it possible for Marino to deliver.
Haddix is going, what did I do wrong?
What a great catch.
Pete Stoyanovich for the point after. Marino and Clayton, the 72nd time they've combined for a touchdown, the most prolific pitch and catch combination in the history of the National Football League.
Well, maybe it didn't have to be quite that dramatic, but that's beautiful.
At that point in his career, when he starts etching his name into the record book more and more, here he ties Nat Moore's team records. That's his 75th touchdown, the 74th receiving touchdown for him. The other came on a punt return. It is 17-3 Miami. Cincinnati, when they get the ball back, has just 1 timeout and 1:18 on the clock. Stoyanovich sends it down to the 6-yard line. Here's Shane Garrett. Tackled by Jim Jensen up at the 23. Well, not only Moore writing some new marks with his name, but Dan Marino has gone past Dan Deerdorf's old teammate Jim Hart, and Marino is now in 5th place all-time yardage. And of course, very shortly, probably not tonight, but before the regular season is done, he should move past Montana and trail only Tarkenton, Fouts, and Unitas.
Dan, top of your head, how many years did Jimmy play?
18.
And Marino in his 9th season.
Yes,
From the 23-yard line, Esiason dumps it off for Brooks underneath, and JB takes it out to the 29-yard line. Gain of 6, tackled by Griggs.
I mean, this is not to take away from anything Marino has accomplished, but when you talk about Unitas and Tarkenton and Hart and the older guys, remember the passing rules were liberalized in 1978. Before that, a 300-yard game was tough to come by.
2nd and 4. Here's Brooks, and he'll try to get out of bounds to conserve the timeout. It does, and gets the first down in the process. 1st and 10 at the 35. Bestie Jackson gets credit for the tackle. 41 ticks left.
Excellent play by Esiason. In a lot of trouble, kept it cool in the grasp actually before he released it. Not in any danger, and it's allowable. Okay, those numbers are a great tribute to Don Shula too, who is so versatile in what he can do. And that 17-0 season he put together in 72. They were running the football then. There was Onk and kick, Greasy with the ball control offense.
And first down, Esiason. Well, Boomer's going to find the sideline and does. It's a gain of about 9. He steps out just before the marker at the 44-yard line. But that play took 10 seconds. 31 seconds left.
Boy, and one of the Dolphin defensive backs, I'm not sure which one it was, just gave Boomer an early Christmas present because he could have taken a shot at him. I think it might have been J.B. Brown, but
2nd and 1. Esiason throws. The catch is made by Barber. He's taken out of bounds by Green. And that's a first down, and that play took 6 seconds. 25 seconds and 1 timeout remaining.
You can tell it's a holiday season. Watch the end of Boomer's scramble. Watch from the right of your screen. I mean, J.B. Brown just came to a dead stop. He would have been well within his rights to give Boomer an upsetting the apple cart type shot.
And Boomer very wisely did not try to squeeze out that first down.
From the 49, inside handoff. Here's Brooks on the ground. That's a first down. He takes it to the 36, and now Cincinnati must spend its last timeout with 18 seconds. So they're at the 36. 18 seconds left in the half. Miami by 2 touchdowns.
We get a chance to take a close-up look at Boomer Esiason's left little finger. It's taped to the ring finger of his left hand. Tendon damage at the last joint of that little finger, and he had to throw the ball with a little bit of a different motion.
It's an injury he incurred thanks to Clyde Simmons' helmet in the Philadelphia game a couple of weeks back. First down at the 36, but more importantly, only a few seconds remaining. Brooks carries to the 32. Now they're going to try to, I suppose, throw it into the ground and attempt a field goal. Yeah, that's a pretty strange call, because you're still looking at a long field goal attempt here.
Jim Breach is not one of your long kickers in the league. We asked specifically of Sam White where he might decide not to go with Jim Breach, and he said somewhere around 48, 49, 50 yards, and this is going to be about 51 yards, right on the edge of Breach's ability.
Spotted at the 40-yard line. It'll go into the books if it's good as a 50-yard field goal. Johnson to hold it on what will be, barring a penalty, the final play of the half. And Breach's kick is good.
Yes.
So he sends them into the locker room on a very optimistic note. Last week they were able to hang in against the Giants and eventually got him in the second half. And now here, thanks to Breach's 50-yarder, they close to within 11 at the end of the first half in Miami. Jimmy Johnson of the Dallas Cowboys will be our guest at halftime when we return with halftime activities after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations. Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. 17-6. The Dolphins in front. Cincinnati will get the ball as we start the third quarter. Pete Stoyanovich to put it in the air. And Shane Garrett to return it. Jim Jensen is the first to get to him up at the 22-yard line. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. 17-6 is the halftime score, and here are the relevant numbers.
As you can see, pretty even all the way down the line, but really the most relevant number for Cincinnati was a dropped touchdown pass and then a missed field goal. This should be a 17-13 ball game in favor of Miami instead of 17-6.
No turnovers in the game to this point. Green up to the 28-yard line. Harold Green straight ahead for a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Green had one of his big games against the Dallas Cowboys. We were talking to Jimmy Johnson a while ago. He ran for 124 yards in that one, 141 against Buffalo. Put together 3 100-yard games thus far in the season, and obviously the backs of the future for Cincinnati.
Second and 4. Green cuts it back, picks up the first down, takes it up to the 36-yard line where Cliff Odom makes the hit. So a promising beginning for the Bengals, who were able to hang in there last week despite being dominated by the Giants in the first half at Riverfront, and then they came from behind to win their second game of the season.
78-yard punt return by Mitchell Price for the Bengals last week. The big play.
That cemented it. First and 10 at the 36-yard line. Esiason, a beautiful ball handling, and then the pass is off the hands, and at the 41, incomplete. Rodney Holman couldn't hold it, and Louis Oliver dove for it, but couldn't stop it from hitting the grass.
It was a good effort by Oliver, but it was apparent that the ball way out in front of him really landed on the ground before he controlled it. Again, another nice pass by Boomer, and just right off the hands of Rodney Holman. I mean, he threw it out in front, and that's just a ball that you will see caught by Holman many more times than you'll see dropped. And a good look at it there, bouncing off the ground before Oliver controls it.
Second and 10 for the Bengals. Just the start of the third quarter. Miami on top 17-6. Here's Green up to the 40-yard line. Third and 6. Sprained left shoulder is the report on Sammy Smith of the Dolphins. His return is doubtful, and Louis Oliver now comes limping off for Miami as well in the secondary, and Mike Iaquinello, a rookie from Michigan State, takes his spot. Third down 7 at the 39-yard line. Brown in motion. Esiason wrapped up at the 31 by Chuck Klingbeil.
And that's just taking advantage of the fact that on the left side of the Bengal offensive line they have new people. Klingbeil works to the outside. Kozerski lets him go. Comes back inside to make a block, thinking that he's going to be picked up to the outside, and he was not. At a relatively easy stunt, nothing too dramatic about it. Just a blow on the left side of the Bengal offensive line.
That's Louis Oliver. It looks to be a cramp that they're working on.
Play is dead. Dolphins came across Lewis Cooper. Number 50 was across the line unless he was induced.
And the key was that stopped the play as the contact was made across the line of scrimmage.
It's 4th and 13, so it'll be 4th and 8 after the call.
On the defense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Take it up to the 37-yard line.
And there's Oliver back out on the field. So just a short pit stop for the Dolphin free safety. There's Klingbeil. Had his first sack last week, and now he notches another one, huh?
5th different starter at nose tackle for Miami this year. Came down from the Canadian League, where he played with Saskatchewan for 2 years. Lee Johnson to put it in the air, and the left-footed kicker really booms one. Taken at the 8 by Scott Miller. And he gets buried up at the 17 by Don Hollis, who's the backup quarterback to Esiason. 54-yard kick, 11-yard return. Donald Hollis with some grass stains on his left shoulder, and he was the man who made the tackle on the last play. As you look down from the airship Shamu, it's a surreal shot of Joe Robbie Stadium.
It really is. A whale's eye view. An inverted whale's eye view.
First down Miami from the 17. They lead by 11. Early third quarter. Marino throws. It's a low throw, but it is caught by Duper. Close to a first down. Eric Thomas with the coverage.
This time Duper turning Thomas all the way around, as Thomas respecting Duper's deep move. He scored earlier, recall, from way out for a long touchdown. Thomas spun around. Duper breaks it off to the sidelines after faking the deep pass. Thomas very wary. having been beaten once already.
Marks of excellence. When they came up in the early 80s, known as the Marks brothers.
They had to measure for that, and it was good for a Miami first down.
1st and 10 up at the 27-yard line. Higgs. I guess you'd call him one of the new Marks brothers. Cooper and Clayton and Higgs, and they also have Mark Dennis and Mark Logan.
Higgs looks like he's running very low. Well, he is low. He's only 5'7". And sometimes he kind of gets lost in there, but he has kind of a squirting ability and is tremendous breaking back against the grain. That's where he pops most of his big runs, by just popping back against the pursuit.
2nd and 4. Higgs has picked up 66 yards tonight on 12 carries. Higgs again. You know, Dan brought it up earlier. Higgs with a chance to gain 1,000 yards this season. And that would be something for Miami, because the last guy to gain 1,000 yards in a Dolphin uniform was Delvin Williams in 1978, 13 years ago.
Yep, a long time ago. Former 49er before he came here. Del Williams started Drugs Pros for Kids, a big drug program involving professionals out in California. Done a great job out there.
And you see what's impressive about Higgs. He's rushed for in excess of 4 yards a carry, 4.1 to be precise.
3rd and a long 2, and Marino will seek it through the air, and the throw is low and incomplete and nearly picked off. Wayne Haddix was there, intended for Clayton, and the Dolphins will have to kick for the 2nd time in the game.
It's one of the many things Marino will give you. He didn't try to squeeze that into Clayton. That could have been picked off. He sees that Clayton is well covered. He's got a man behind him, a man in front of him, and Marino just dumps it into the ground. Avoids the interception, any possible deflection by throwing over. He brings a lot of things to this game.
Mitchell Price to run it back. Reggie Roby to punt. Perfect snap. Not as deep as the last kick. Fielded at the 16 by Price. And Mitchell gets hit out of bounds by Farrell Edmonds, and a flag goes down as well at the 25-yard line.
Oh, sometimes I don't believe the hits on these special teams.
Well, they're going to call Edmonds for hitting him out of bounds. That would seem to be the indication, with the flag coming right there on the sidelines. You're right, Frank. It was a major poke. Let's see how far out of bounds the hit actually takes place. There's Price.
Personal foul on the kicking team. Hitting a runner, obviously out of bounds. 15 yards, 1st down, timeout.
I'll tell you, you're coming downfield full stride. That's not that obvious, I don't think.
I think Farrell Edmonds is saying it might have been obvious to you, Dale Hamer, but not necessarily to me. That is really dicey.
The Raiders meet the Saints. It's gonna be a sight. A party in the Superdome here on Monday night.
Miami 17, Cincinnati 6, with 10:17 to play in the 3rd quarter. Bengals have it at their own 39-yard line. 1st and 10. And they begin with Harold Green, who gets wrestled down by Odom after a gain of close to 7.
One of the places where the Dolphins have been hurt this year, of course, much publicized loss of John Offerdahl, who he was really the heart of their defense when they went 12-4 a year ago, 3-time Pro Bowler, and then they lost John Grimsley, another inside linebacker. So you're seeing Odom and Reichenbach, another Plan B player from Philadelphia from a year ago, at those inside positions.
2nd and 4. Here's Green again. And he's going to be about 2 yards short of the 1st down, maybe 1.5 yards, with 9.5 to go in the 3rd. Well, a very big game in the Superdome on Monday Night Football next week. The Raiders have clinched the playoff spot, but just which spot? They're still seeking home field advantage, but they're a game back of Denver against the Saints, who have clinched nothing after a 4-game losing streak. They're 9-5. Key matchup, Raiders, Saints, a week from tonight. 3rd and a long one from the 48. Brooks has it. All the way to the Miami 39-yard line, where he's run out of bounds by Oliver.
He might have lost a half a step or something, but a great effort by JB as he just drives through a block. Again, we've talked about it all night, 180-pounder, and he just got a great block from Moyer right there. Now watch him spin through this tackle. That's good running. That's great running.
1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. A gain of 8 for Craig Taylor as he takes it to the 31. It'll be 2nd and 2. Odom and Harden converge on the hit.
And meanwhile, those Dolphin fans that are kind of lulled into thinking this game might be over, all of a sudden realize that Cincinnati is down on their 30-yard line. And a touchdown here would make it a 17-13 ball game.
2nd and 2. Brooks picks up the first down. JB loses the ball after he was down. The play is over. First down, Bengals at the 26-yard line. Odom the tackle.
But like last week, the Giants dominating Cincinnati, as Al mentioned earlier, in the first half, and coming back to win it in the second half.
I hate to see this guy eventually retire. If you've ever had any love for this game whatsoever, James Brooks has to be one of the guys you like a lot.
6.2 a carry. That's what makes Sammy run. As Brooks picks up 3, taking it down to the 23-yard line. 7.5 to go in the 3rd.
That's what makes Sammy run.
Well, that's why White is running tonight.
That's right. He's going with 2 tight ends a lot of times. Sometimes even with 3. Holman, Caddis, and Riggs in the game, attacking what he feels is the weak spot on the Bengals defensive front.
But this time, Sammy wishes he hadn't run as James Brooks gets hit by Griggs as he reaches the line of scrimmage. And that's going to set up a very key 3rd down conversion for the Bengals. 3rd and 7.
And again, Esiason will not go with the huddle, but he will change personnel, and that should offer the Dolphins, if they so choose to change personnel, and they do. They bring in their nickel defense. They're allowed time under the rules to get them in because Cincinnati brought in their own substitutes. So Esiason couldn't step up, snap the ball, and catch them with too many men on the field.
Out of the shotgun with 4 wide receivers, a 4-man Dolphin rush, and Esiason gets sacked by T.J. Turner.
Oh, what a big sack it is, too. Maybe out of field goal range.
Big play. It's going to be 4th down and 20.
T.J. Turner working to the inside, and Boomer really doesn't have a chance. He gets an opportunity to set up and look downfield, but before anybody breaks open, it's over.
They
are going to try what looks like, what, a 52-yarder?
It would be a 52-yarder for Lee Johnson, who is their kickoff man. And the left footer with Breach holding has the kick deflected.
That was a bad snap.
And Lewis Oliver got lucky. He got lucky with that ball rolling into the end zone.
A bad snap that Breach had to reach high for. Snap it down, and Lee Williams never got under it.
Bruce Kozerski with a snap. Ryan Cox is the guy who gets a hand on it, 51. Maybe he got a leg on it. These guys are interchangeable. That time Breach holds and Johnson kicks.
Well, they're not entirely interchangeable. Breach hit a 50-yarder, and here Johnson hits the ground, and
he got a divot about 50 yards.
Hits a ball that never gets more than 5 or 6 feet off the ground.
So Miami takes it at the 34, and Higgs breaks the tackle by Francis and picks up about 4. Haddix and Mitz converge on the stop with 5:45 left in the 3rd, and Miami on top 17-6. 2nd and 6 for the Dolphins. Miami with a win would be 8-6, a full game in front of the Jets. They go to San Diego next week, and then the Jets end the season here. Marino to the 50-yard line to Clayton. That's a first down. He's tackled by Eric Thomas.
Dan mentioned Eric Thomas was wondering how long this night was going to be. It's a long one because he is a designated picky tonight. And he's a good defensive back, and consequently he gets single coverage many times, and they double on the opposite side. But here it is, single coverage. You got to respect this guy going deep, and you have to play off him a little bit, and squares it off. And Marino is so quick with that gun. You separate 2 or 3 yards, he's going to get it to the receiver.
First and 10 at the 50-yard line. Marino buys time. Catch is made by Duper, and that's a 20-yard pickup to the 31-yard line.
Marino made something look so easy. That's why Canton, Ohio is at the end of this career. I don't know, he just sat back there and he flipped that thing, but he flipped it about 25 yards. Look how easy he fires this ball. Well, we'll see Duper put another move on Eric Thomas, picking on him again, but an unbelievable flick of the wrist by Marino. Good protection first. Watch this.
I mean, he's not a classic step into the ball drastically the way some quarterbacks have to do it. Can't throw it with that kind of velocity.
Unbelievable.
You know, he does. You know, you look at John Elway throw that ball, and he really strides into it and really comes over the top. Dan Marino does it without a lot of legs. I mean, he just doesn't use his lower body as much as some quarterbacks have to throw the ball with that type of zip on it.
Does he remind you of another Dolphin quarterback named Yepremian?
Yeah, well, of course, Garrow had that fine toss in the Super Bowl that ended up being a Redskin touchdown.
Classic.
The tie maker.
I've hit a few drives like that. little underneath the ball, went straight up.
That's what happens when you're going against the worst pass defense in the league. You get big numbers.
2nd and 9. The catch is made by Sammy Smith, who takes it to the 21. His return was questionable, but he's answered that question with a reception here and a first down.
I guess we can assume the X-rays were negative.
And here's Miami.
Tougher than anyone I know.
And Miami going without a huddle. They're really playing a little turnabout is fair play against the Bengals. They go right to the line of scrimmage.
But he's getting into this a little bit, Dan. Washington has been using it a little bit.
First down from the 21-yard line. Marino throws. Clayton makes the catch, and that's good for a gain of about a half yard. Excuse me, it's Sammy Smith making the catch. It'll be 2nd down, and let's still call it 10.
There they go again. Gives Marino an opportunity to call his own plays, which I'm sure he'd like to do.
Look at that. 1 touchdown pass away. 9 20-plus touchdown pass seasons.
Man, and that's all 9 years in the league for him. He threw 20 as a rookie.
And 8, he's already got 8 3,000-yard seasons.
Flags down. Cooper.
I think Cincinnati lined up offside. I think they were in the neutral zone at the snap.
If they were, they'll decline it, take the play, which would be a 1st and goal inside the 10. 1:47 to go in the 3rd.
Yeah, defensive end of this side was lined up clear across the ball.
Offside. Left defensive end. Lined up in the neutral zone.
Say Eric Thomas is shell shock. Top of your screen.
First down.
And look how far he is laying off of Duper. You're not going to get in my end zone, but I mean, they have been picking on Thomas all night long. And Cincinnati has been asking him to single cover all night long. With the on the hot seat.
Yep. Well, you're always on the hot seat when your defense is ranked last in the league. 1st and goal from the 9. Higgs inside the 5. It'll be 2nd and goal.
When we talked about Dan Marino, I first first saw him on a Monday night game in 1983 when he replaced David Woodley against the Raiders, and he was hot that night in a loss to the Raiders, but the next year he threw for over 5,000 yards and went to Super Bowl 19. And he has been unable to get back ever since, and I think it's just one of the burning desires of one of the most competitive people I know, Dan Marino. He will have done it all. The media guide has 23 pages, the Dolphin media guide on Dan Marino.
Second and goal. Marino throws an incomplete, and Duper thought he was interfered with by Eric Thomas, and Thomas argues the reverse.
They're not giving Thomas a rest, are they?
No, they're not.
No mercy.
Well, Thomas is saying that Duper pushed off. There they are, clear to the left. You know, that's just big boys playing football. They're close, but there's no way you're going to throw a flag on either side of that. And the crowd moans and groans, but Eric Thomas did not keep Mark Duper from catching that football. I know half the people at home are going, what's he talking about?
Marino has to hurry.
Third and goal. Play clock was down to 1. As Marino throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Jensen, who wouldn't have been in anyway. He looks for a flag and doesn't get it. And that was really vital for the Bengals to avoid a touchdown here, because at least with a field goal, they're still down by 14, which is a considerable difference from being down by 18.
David Fulcher up over the top. Just can't tell from that angle. This one will tell us.
I don't know. It was awfully close.
Yeah, it sure was.
Hard to call at full speed.
In slow motion, it looked like Fulcher was on top of Jensen before the ball.
22-yard attempt for Stoyanovich. Seafuels puts it down. And with 38 seconds remaining in the third quarter, the Dolphins extend their lead. It is Miami 20, Cincinnati 6.
2 touchdowns from overtime. That's the key.
Yeah. It's in the genes, isn't it? Mike Shula, David Shula, sons of Don, one an assistant with Cincinnati, the other assistant under Dad here in Miami.
For your information, that's David on the right and Mike on the left. David is the receiver coach for Cincinnati. He was here in Miami for a long time and then went to Dallas with Jimmy Johnson, and then on to Cincinnati. He's paying his dues.
Stojanovich's kick. Mitchell Price tells Garrett, just down it, man. And Stoyanovich is hurt.
Whoa.
So the Dolphin kicker, and he is having a Pro Bowl type season.
I think he's got a cramp in his leg. Is he? Did he get hit? He's looking at me. Well, you better look around. That's a bad shot there.
Yeah, well, that's how you get a cramp in your leg.
That's a cramp in your body.
Alex Gordon is the guy who hit him.
And Stoyanovich had no idea what happened. I don't think he even caught that one at the last instant.
I mean, that was so far away from the play, there was not even an official looking on.
And Fulcher offering his congratulations to Gordon, the Cincinnati linebacker. At first glance, it looked like a perfectly legal block.
And now you've got some of the Dolphins, Cox and Turner.
And Cox, that is
on the Cincinnati sideline.
And that's very dumb. You don't head over there.
Not alone.
Well, I don't think it's wise. Again, what's inciting this is that they're showing it on the replay board here at Joe Robbie Stadium.
You can have people coming out of the stand. That was a bad shot on the part of Gordon.
Not only did they show it, but also the same shot you saw where Gordon was taking a high five from Fulcher was up on the board.
Right. That's what got everybody going. Have to understand something. We have to assume the whistle hadn't blown at that time. And Pete Stoyanovich is just like any other player on the field. Now, I'll say that in Alex Gordon's defense. Frank, I know what you're saying. He's a kicker. He's a little guy. And you say maybe it wasn't fair. Well, the fact of the matter is, if the whistle hasn't blown, everybody's fair game. You just hope he's not hurt.
There's a penalty. It has nothing to do with the hit by Gordon. It has to do with Cox going over to the Cincinnati sideline.
The one thing that we're going to all have to watch for, and nobody more so than Dale Hamer, is that you're going to see players start taking shots at one another. Yeah, here comes Cox over there looking for Gordon and Fulcher.
Sportsmanlike conduct, number 51 by the defense. First down.
And they're going to penalize.
Well, they have to.
Brian Cox, the rookie from Western Illinois, is turning into a superb linebacker for the Dolphins. And
Olivadotti can't believe it. Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator, is incensed that one of his players got a personal foul call for.
I tell you, this game's going to turn a little mean right at this point. I mean, that was totally uncalled for, unnecessary. And sure, Dan, is fair, but you level a little man like that, and you level it almost blind side, even though you get the hat in front of the guy.
Oh, don't misunderstand me, Frank. I'm just trying to explain why there's no flag on the play and why people are saying. I didn't advocate that it was a good idea.
After the penalty, it's first down Cincinnati at the 35-yard line as Green gets wrestled out of bounds after a 3-yard gain, all the way out of bounds by Vesty Jackson.
And watch out, clear the bench, guys. Get back on the field. There you go. Get back on the field. Oh, and now Vesty Jackson. See, now Vesty Jackson's trying to start a fight.
It won't be difficult.
No. Yeah, you see, Jackson is the guy there that's trying to start trouble. He ran from the sidelines and jumped in a guy's face.
And we get a flag, and I think this is just to get control of the game, and it's a good flag.
I mean, watch Vesty Jackson here as he goes ahead and runs Green out of bounds. Let's watch the end of this. Oh, it looks like Green has a hold of Vesty Jackson's face.
Foul. Number 28.
Boy, he really had a hold of Jackson's face mask. Well, now it's easy to see why Jackson went out there and wanted to confront him.
If I were Vesty Jackson, I'd be looking for him too.
Yeah, we ought to get a good look at it here. Oh, look how Green is dragging him by the face mask.
That could really hurt that could really cause a bad neck injury.
Well, I don't blame Vesty Jackson for going out and wanting to confront him about that.
I'll tell you, right now, maybe Sam ought to get a hold of his ball club and say, hey guys, let's play this like it's meant to be played. Get control of it. That's what he's being told right now. But this could really get ugly.
Well, Harold Green started that. I stand totally corrected as far as Vesty Jackson. Now, you know, going back out and starting something in the middle field isn't going to accomplish anything, but you don't blame Vesty Jackson for being incensed. I would be too. Yeah, but I'd be inclined to tell Mr. Green something too.
The officials are still huddling. There was a flag, but there hasn't been a march off, and now there is. And they did catch Harold Green because it's a 15-yard penalty that brings it back to the 22-yard line.
I just wonder how they caught him.
I wonder, yeah, you wonder. I mean, it's an amazing thing here. It's not supposed to happen that way, but let's face it, you've got an earpiece in the umpire's ear, replay sees it upstairs, and you wonder if contact was made.
That's not supposed to be their jurisdiction.
It's not supposed to be, but you tell me how they decided to do it a minute and a half later.
I don't care. Justice was served.
Yep. They got it right. 2nd and 22 at the 23. Esiason. And right into and out of the hands of Reggie Rembert. A perfect pass, but it's an incomplete pass. And that is the end of the third quarter. Miami 20, Cincinnati 6. And Monday Night Football returns after this word from our ABC station.
Tuesday.
Well, Pete Stoyanovich appears to be all right after taking the hit by Gordon.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he thinks he's talking to Dan Marino.
I think next time he kicks off, you're going to see a full 360 swivel on the part of that head, looking for number 58.
I'll tell you one thing right now. They're putting rear view mirrors on Stojanovich's helmet.
I'm glad he's all right. He could have been hurt seriously.
Start the fourth quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deroff in Miami. Dolphins up by 14. 3rd and 22. Esiason has to get him to the 45-yard line. The catch is made at the 43 by McGee, and he has a first down. Tim McGee found space and then picked up the extra 5 on the ground. First down on a 24-yard pickup.
Esiason buying the time. No huddle offense. He doesn't want the... He'll try to get this ball snapped, and he'll catch Miami at 12 men on the field, and he did.
Yep. Flag is down. Free play for the Bengals, and the catch is made at the 15 by McGee, and he's inside the 5-yard line. And exhausted.
And nobody here is laughing now.
That's the quick huddle offense, and Miami trying to get their prevent defense, their nickel defense in, and they had 4 or 5 extra men on the field, and the flags flew.
Again, another beautifully thrown ball by Boomer Esiason. Don't tell anybody in a green jersey that there's something wrong with his shoulder. I mean, just an absolutely perfect pass, and held on to by a Dolphin receiver who've been dropping their fair share tonight.
And the no huddle offense, that's one of the things you set out to do, and that is catch the defense in a change, and it worked to perfection that time. Esiason, give him credit. He read it. He saw them trying to bring extra men onto the field, change personnel, got his team up the line of scrimmage, snapped the ball, and caught him.
So back-to-back catches by McGee for 24 and 48, first and goal. Opening minute, fourth quarter, and movement on the right side. That was Rodney Holman going across.
That's his second penalty of the night. Remember, he had a motion penalty in the first half.
He dropped a big first down pass. This is a guy who's been at the Pro Bowl the last 3 years.
Ball start. Number 82 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And it would figure when you're 2 and 11, the Bengals are up near the league leaders in penalties. It's the one category you don't want to be up among the league leaders in.
Nope. Dolphins, however, the best. Yep. Nothing new about that.
No. Harold Green stopped at the 8. It'll be second and goal. Inside the 10-yard line, the Bengals have been terrible this year. Last in the league. The average team gets in almost 6 of 10 times, and the Bengals 3 out of 7 roughly. But here's Green on second and goal, looking for room, and then thrust out of bounds as he reaches the 2-yard line. Bobby Harden was there along with Cliff Odom, and it will be third and goal.
Good running by Green. He took that to the outside. That was designed to go off tackle, as you can see. Eddie Brown trying to take his man to the outside. Green, seeing that grass was a little greener out there, took it to the outside and gets it down inside the 2-yard line. That's just good running.
They put it at the 1. In effect, they had 2 chances to punch it in. They're not going for a field goal here. Third down. Ickey Woods is in the game. He has the ball, and he can.
Oh,
well, let's see. No signal yet. Now they signal it.
Where's the football? Ickey doesn't have it. Ickey started with the football, and he doesn't have it.
Head linesman came in and made the late call.
Taylor came out of the pile with it.
Sam is saying, I don't care. They called it a touchdown. Ickey started with the football, but he did not end up with it.
I'm not sure I'd shuffle if I was playing on a 2 and 11 team. I don't know whether he will or not.
All right, let's watch it. We can't see the control of the ball from that angle, but it looked like he was in easily.
He's been their short yardage man. That's his 4th rushing touchdown this season. Breach with the point after. And all of a sudden, the Cincinnati Bengals draw to within 7. 13:32 left in the regulation.
on that Bengals scoring drive. Remember, they had a 3rd and 22 and the pass to McGee for 24. Then the 48-yard pass, and finally Woods for the touch.
And I'm Lee Johnson kicking off here. I watch out for everybody.
Johnson puts it in the air. He lays back. It goes out of bounds. He might have been thinking about it.
Oh, you think so? Notice how he sprinted after he kicked the ball.
Well, he was the last line of defense.
Yeah, Lee Johnson didn't even move. Watch this.
He's playing goalie.
I think I'll just sit this one out.
I'll play safety is what he's doing. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
That's the first kick for Johnson that has gone out of bounds this season.
I don't want him to do to me what they did to Pete.
Kickers have a strange sort of relationship too, but in the pregame workout, they're all huddled together. They're talking, chatting. No one's paying any attention to them, but they keep track of each other.
Now a critical series for the Bengal defense. The team has just pushed them to within 7. The Dolphins 1st and 10. The catch is made by Higgs. He gets 6 up to the 41. It'll be 2nd down and 4. The offense has given them a boost, and now it's up to the defense to get the ball back in a hurry.
And of course, that's what in the past they've not been able to do. Again, 28th against the pass, 17th against the rush. They are, after last week, they were the worst team in the league in giveaway takeover ratio, having given up 20 interceptions and 16 fumbles lost.
2nd and 3 at the 42-yard line. That's Edmonds in motion. Here's Higgs. He stopped about 1.5 yards shy of the 1st down. They'll put it between the 43 and 44 with 12.5 minutes left in regulation. Fulcher made the last stop. 3rd and 2.
And this becomes most interesting if Cincinnati is able to give the ball back there to number 7 on this 3rd down, and things will begin to tighten up a little bit here at Joe Robbie Stadium.
3rd and 2 at the 43-yard line. 4-man rush, quick pass to Page. 1st down at the 49-yard line. Tony Page, tackled by Fulcher.
So much confidence in Dan Marino. You've got a situation where they've been running the ball fairly well tonight. 3rd down and a long 2, and they just run a little crossing pattern. Clayton coming in, and could have been a bit of a screen even. As Clayton brings it inside, Page breaks out underneath him, and he's wide open for the 1st down.
And look at how Marino, though, doesn't look at Page until the last second. He doesn't give the defense one step of a break towards his intended receiver until he has to.
That was Page's 6th catch of the night. Fakes to Higgs. Marino fires to the far side. Beautiful. Right into Clayton's chest. 1st down at the 37-yard line.
All right, they do to Haddix what they've been doing all night to Eric Thomas. And Marino with the gun. Now watch Haddix. He's covering. And Clayton giving it the little deep look. There it is, the extra step, and Haddix brought it all the way. And Marino, when he was making that move, was releasing the football.
Look at Dan, only 6 incompletions tonight. On his way to another 300-yard game. 2:29 today.
1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. Clayton in motion. Toss to Higgs. Flea flicker to Marino. They scored a touchdown on this play on opening day, but not here. Cincinnati's defense not biting. 2nd down.
Well, it's basically a 1-receiver pattern, and Cincinnati was all over it. The corner and the safety, and that's exactly right. That's Dan's read. He sees it's covered. His short guy, who's really just out in the flat, was covered. And I'll say one thing, even when he makes up his mind to throw it away, he does that in a hurry. This guy is the quickest man in football. He is.
With such supreme confidence in himself.
2nd and 10 at the 39-yard line. Marino throws incomplete. Clayton, the intended receiver.
Just good coverage that part. That time on the part of Eric Thomas. They've been working on him, beating him all night long, and this time he was able to read either that or he was guessing with Mark Clayton, because the Dolphins have not been taking Clayton and Duper deep all night. They've just been working underneath. That time Thomas was right with Clayton, and Marino just basically threw another one away.
Come up with the shotgun 3rd and 10 with the 4 wideouts. Bengals show blitz, and here they come. And Marino steps away and throws to the open man. It's Duper to the 2.
How did he keep from being sacked?
I don't know.
I mean, Mr. Clear shot. He's getting a bad reputation. Nureyev dancing around in the pocket. Dan Marino, who would have thunk it?
Boy, they come with a blitz right off the corner. And one of the Dolphins gets out there. One of their interior guys gets out there just in time to bump the blitzer. Watch the upper right of your screen.
Has reported as an eligible receiver.
There comes Price on the blitz. And did you see Galbraith get out there and just tap him enough to allow Marino to escape and throw this thing to Duper?
Duper waving both arms downfield. Marino finally picking him up.
Talk about the little things and how little things end up making a big play. There's Harry Galbraith right there. And that was quick thinking and good hustle.
Marino down to 1 second remaining on the play clock, and he calls timeout.
Watch right there, Price, and there's Galbraith, who peels out of the middle and picks him off and buys Dan this extra time.
Timeout, Miami. Position where they have a 1st and goal now. And Duper with a chance for 1,000 yards this season, 892, counting what he's done tonight. 1st and goal from the 3. Higgs looking for the end zone. Finds it behind a Tony Page block.
Page has been brilliant blocking all night, but they go over that left side. Richmond Webb, the big tackle over the left side.
I think Tony Page beats James Francis, and 49 beats 50. Tony Page is more than just a good receiver. He's probably the offensive leader of this football team. There's his block right there on Francis. Turns him all the way around. And it's pretty obvious one of these teams is alive in the playoffs.
Stojanovic, lucky to be alive for the playoffs. His extra point is good. 9:56 left in the 4th, and Miami's lead is back up to 14.
They're back. The World League returns in March on ABC Sports.
Things are slightly more copacetic with the Bengals tonight than the last time we saw them in October in Buffalo.
Yeah, use the D word to talk about the Bengals. You know, you have to admit that we saw a wild night in Buffalo. But since then, I think Sam Weiss is to be commended. He has kept this team from fragmenting. You can't fault the effort the Bengals have given. That was demonstrated last week with that win over the Giants. And it's easy for a team that's only won 2 ball games to literally fall apart. And the Bengals have not done that. They're trying to win.
They were out of the playoffs in midseason.
Yeah. Stoyanovic's kick is taken back by Garrett to about the 24-yard line, and that's where the Bengals will start their next drive.
Well, Sam actually took us to task, and I guess some of the other people in Cincinnati thought we were a little severe on him, but we spoke to him. We just reported what we saw. We saw a man racing onto the field, drawing a flag from an official, and we are looking at a football team that had not won in 8 straight games coming into that game, and it was a team that we characterized as disarray and being in disarray, and he just flat didn't like it.
1st and 10 from the 23. McGee for a gain of about 8. Go back to what I said at the top, though, tonight with Cincinnati and Sam White. The players like Sam. I think the players most of them would like to see Sam return next year. Will he? I think he probably will. And one reason is the Bengals don't like to spend a lot of money, any more money than they have to, and to buy him out is $1 million. There's a fumble. Miami has it. Louis Oliver.
And that is the 17th fumble that the Bengals have lost. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they lead the league. And on the minus side of the takeaway giveaway.
And to Vesty Jackson's delight, Harold Green is the back that fumbles the ball. Let's watch the exchange. Now the ball was high. Looked like Boomer hitting clear up in the upper chest with the football, Frank. You certainly took more handoffs than I did, but it looked high. Green never had the ball, never had control.
He was looking at Jeff Cross, who had made a move to the inside, and he saw Jeff Cross. He was looking at Jeff Cross, who did hit him, but he wasn't even thinking about the ball.
First down at the 17 as Higgs picks up 1 before he's pushed back by Fulcher and Crumrine.
Just lack of concentration by Green. Cross had made a move to the inside. He was right in Green's face. Green knew he was going to be hit. Let's take a look at it again. See, there's Cross, 91. That's where Green's looking.
Yeah, the ball's a little higher than where you normally would see it on a handoff like that, but Harold Green was not even looking the ball in whatsoever. He was preoccupied, and justifiably so. That was major league penetration by Cross.
Do you miss Anthony Munoz? Well, Cross would not have been there with Anthony Munoz over that left side.
2nd and 9 at the 16-yard line. 8.5 to go in regulation. Marino for the end zone. Clayton again.
How pretty can it get? What a great shot of that.
Well, it was Eric Thomas early, and now it's Wayne Haddock's late. And it's every time these guys connect, another record.
Both of them pick up a record on that one. Marino's 20th touchdown pass. And Haddock is the victim. Because what a great throw by Marino.
And it's really pretty decent coverage by Wayne Haddock. I mean, it just has to be absolutely a perfect throw. And of course it was.
"73 times that combination has clicked. Twice tonight. Stoyanovich boots it through. And the Dolphins on their way to making it 3 straight, 5 of 6, and on their way to the playoffs. Not officially, but they are very much in the driver's seat for that last spot in the American Football Conference. Clayton tonight, well, he's been outshined by Duper in terms of receptions and yardage, but he scored twice. Team records for touchdowns and receiving TDs. Again, his only other touchdown was a punt return his rookie season.
And you could see him flip that football to the equipment manager, saying,
hang on to that.
Hang that one out for me, put it in the old bag, and I'll have it painted up, and that'll find its way to one of my mantles sooner or later.
Yeah, we took a quick shot of Don Shula walking along the sidelines. What a job he's done. Dan touched on it at the very beginning of the telecast. Remember when we were in Denver for that preseason game, and that was a team in disarray. I mean, they had holdouts, they had injuries, and Marino hadn't led the team to 1 touchdown in preseason. And it was a disaster going in. Mid-season, they were 3-5. And they're on their way to winning 5 out of the last 6.
When you talk about Coach of the Year, you know the names like Jimmy Johnson. I think Rich Kotite certainly has to come into play. Even a Bill Belichick in Cleveland has done an exemplary job with the Brownies. But really, it's hard to argue with that sign. I don't know that anybody has done a better job than Don Shula of again exacting the most from the talent he has.
Talked about it earlier. He's won with the running game. He's won with the passing game. Somehow kept the deep interest in his 29th season as a head coach.
Stojanovich's kick fielded at the 12-yard line. Again, Shane Garrett. Ooh, loose football.
It would be unrealistic to think that Cincinnati could recover it. When it goes bad, it goes bad. See, this is one of those where this is just a fight. The officials have no idea who has the ball, and they're still scrapping for it down there.
And Garrett's hurt. Oh, he was really hammered. Miami has it.
How could you tell?
Little birdie whispered in my ear.
Again, another big hit.
Aaron Craver recovered it. Rookie out of Fresno State.
I think as we watch this one, watch the hit. Right there. Whoa. Whoa. You saw that. Chris Green, number 42. Whammo. And for my friends in Texas, you're right. Only real men need apply for this game.
1st and 10 at the 24-yard line. Dolphins with 8:17 to go. Up by 21. Higgs. Taken down at the 19 by Alfred Williams.
And made an effort to stay in bounds, keep the clock moving.
So the Bengals will go down to another defeat. We started to mention before the Sam White situation, and I said Cincinnati doesn't like to spend a lot of money. But that's not the only reason to retain White. As Mike Brown said earlier today, he said, you know, Sam's a good coach. We've had him for 8 years. He's just had a rocky year.
And he also has history on his side. I mean, they had the terrible year and came right back and went to the Super Bowl the next year. So Sam can at least invoke history in arguing why he should still be retained as the Bengals coach.
They've been like a low yo-yo over the last 6 years.
Last to first, to last to first, to last again. And here it is graphically. They, of course, play in the AFC Central. Last in 87, 88, they win the division. Go to the Super Bowl, finish last the following year. Last year, first, and lose to the Raiders in the playoffs. And this year, they've already clinched last place. Well, but something will give in Cincinnati. Even if Sam comes back, the speculation is, I mean, somebody's got to pay the price, and the speculation is it would be the defensive coordinator #1, Dick LeBeau, and maybe other defensive coaches.
Quite frankly, you can coordinate all you want, but if you don't have the people, you can forget it. This is Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator. He's under attack, of course, one of the great defensive backs and with the Detroit Lions over the years.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. A coach, the head coach, hires his staff. I mean, he has to be responsible for his staff. You really have to wonder if the Bengal organization were to insist that the defensive coaches be brought to task for what has happened this year. Is Sam Weiss really in a position to say, okay, that's all right, I'll continue to be the head coach and you hire whomever you want to be my defensive staff? I mean, that to me doesn't seem to work.
Well, it seems he's also troubled by that, Dan, the fact that he has not the kind of input into the personnel that he would like to see on this football team. We have seen that, you know, there's particularly with one of their defensive backs and Phillips, and also Ickey Woods, quite frankly.
Well, they're a little short on the staff as well. They have far fewer scouts and other people, support people, than other organizations. I mentioned the Bengals not being free spenders, and yet sometimes there's not that much of a correlation between what you spend and where you go. I mean, after all, this team has been to the Super Bowl twice in the last 10 years.
Yes, that's it. And a lot of teams years ago they came within a minute. And a lot of teams haven't been there at all.
Absolutely. Who spent a lot more money. 3rd and 5 from the 18-yard line as Marino throws, and that's incomplete. 4th down. But you begin to wonder if, you know, times change, and if you don't keep up with the times, if the Bengals can indeed compete the way they've run their organization through the 80s, is that good enough in the 90s? That's the big question.
One of the most obvious things we brought up earlier was the fact that Higgs and Page, starting backfield for the Dolphins, were Plan B players. Now we know Plan B players cost a lot more than players that you pick up off the waiver wire, free agents, but They've been important contributors for the Dolphins, and Cincinnati has almost totally ignored Plan B since it came into existence.
Stoyanovich, a 37-yard attempt. And that's good. 37-13. Well, we talked about the Bengals. Last to first to last to first to last. And in the city of Cincinnati, some strange times, of course, riding the elevator in 1990. The Reds win the pennant and the World Series after winning the National League West. The Bengals win their division. This year, the Reds were 14 games under 500, and here are the Bengals, and 2-11 going on 2-12 after tonight's game. And you have to go back to 1970 when the Reds won the West, wound up winning the pennant, lost the World Series to Baltimore. Bengals won their division. The following year, the Reds finished 4 games under 500. The Bengals were 4-10.
Dan and I have been on an elevator and got stuck.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, Craig Janoff, our director.
Over the edge.
That was good stuff. Did you two lock yourself in a closet and come up with that one?
That's 37-13 stuff.
Who was manning the kazoo for the sound effects there?
We had a 9-piece band we hired. 37-13 Miami with 6:27 remaining. It's a funny thing, Frank, to follow up on your Plan B point. The Bengals not signing many guys. Neither have the Bears, but the difference is the Bears have been so successful in their drafting, and the Bengals really haven't been in recent years. Kickoff taken at the 6 by Shane Garrett. Brings it back to the 20-yard line.
Wow.
Hit made by Mike Williams, who was just activated. And Chris Green is there.
One of the complaints, too, even when they have been successful and get a good player like Alfred Williams, their first-round draft pick, a rookie out of Colorado, good football player, but he missed all of training camp negotiating a contract, and he came in and forced, because of an injury, into the starting lineup, and really unprepared to do so.
And for you members of the Cincinnati press, the most exalted ones have spoken.
Here's Donald Hollis, the new quarterback, the rookie out of Rice. You want to repeat that, Dan, to make sure he's got it straight? 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Hollis. He begins by getting sacked and fumbles, and it appears the good news is the Bengals have retained possession.
I think Mike Arthur, the center, was able to cover that ball back up. That was a fumble.
Hollis did a pretty good job tonight covering punts. Big youngster out of Rice, 6'3", 215, good coverage downfield.
Not a good way to start. And Arthur almost made a big mistake of his own, not just falling on the football and trying to pick it up. He almost lost it.
2nd and 23 from the 7. Here's Green. Up to the 9-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 21. T.J. Turner gets credit for the stop.
Well advised on the part of the Cincinnati Bengals to take Boomer Esiason out of the game. He's had a very sore left shoulder, and this is a franchise ball player. Make no question about that. He's tough. He stays in there. He hates what's happening this season. He has expressed it in many ways. He said, "I've built my entire career, and I've watched my entire career just kind of disappear with what's happened to me this year." But he has stayed tough, and he's played hurt, and they're going to give him a little bit of a break, get him out of this one tonight.
3rd and 19, under 5 minutes to go. Miami up by 24 as Hollis fires over the middle. The catch is made by Barber, but Harden makes the tackle, and that's 4 yards shy of the first down up at the 26-yard line. And the punting group comes in.
Not hard to complete
I'm
that.
surprised Hollis comes off the field. I mean, he's been covering some kicks for Cincinnati. It's not often you'll see a guy covering kicks and playing quarterback in the same game.
Well, Hollis has stayed in there. He's going to be the up back in punt formation.
Well, perhaps they're going to try something a little nifty or tricky and maybe snap the ball to Hollis.
4th and 4. And there's no play here. And if the Dolphins are offside, that's going to be a first down.
Looks like James Francis rocked back in his stance there. Yeah. It's tough to beat our camera guys to the punch here. Bring these guys up before we get a chance to ID these guys. They're making a challenge, don't they?
False start. Number 50 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Hammer doesn't lie.
Francis, that #1 draft pick, and as I mentioned earlier, led the Bengals in sacks a year ago, but has been relatively quiet this year.
3:56 remaining. Miami on top 37-13. They'll lead the Jets by a game. They go to San Diego next week. Jets have New England at home, and then the Jets wrap up the season here. At the 45-yard line, Scott Miller brings it back to the 49 of Cincinnati. 3:46 remaining in the 4th. A reminder, Saturday here on ABC Sports, some of the top senior golfers tee off in the New York Life Champions Tournament. Lee Trevino part of the field that you will see beginning at 2 Eastern and Pacific and 1 Central Time. Well, Joe Robbie Stadium. So what's going to happen now if Miami wins next week against San Diego and the Jets win? They're favored to beat New England. What would happen? It would come down to that last game, because if the Jets would beat Miami on that final Sunday of the year, the Jets and Miami would wind up with the same record, but the Jets would win. As Scott Secules is the new quarterback, Logan is the ball carrier, and a flag is down, and the Jets would win that two-way tie because they would have beaten the Dolphins twice.
And I guess when we were talking about coaches, Bruce Coslett is a guy who deserves to be mentioned along with those other guys.
Holding. Number 63, the offense.
The Jets are a doggone good football team. You think back to the couple games they had against the Bills this year. The Monday nighter we saw them against the Bears in a game that really they had won, and then miraculously ended up being won by Chicago. They are a pretty sound football team.
They're a very good football team, and much like the Dallas Cowboys, an enormous turnover of talent. I forget the numbers when we were in Chicago, but they're a remarkable turnover. Jimmy Johnson only has 12 players remaining from the team he inherited, and is pretty close to that with the Jets.
Logan. You know, the funny thing about coach of the year or manager of the year in baseball or whatever, it's the same in every sport. It's almost the coach who does surprisingly well who wins it. It's never Joe Gibbs, for instance. I mean, has Joe Gibbs done very much wrong this year?
Well, I mean, the best example of that is the fact that I think I'm right that Chuck Noll has never won the Coach of the Year award. I mean, he's the only coach that's ever won 4 Super Bowls, but he's never won Coach of the Year. And I guess that's, you know, the voters' way of saying, well, he had a great team. He was supposed to win the Super Bowl.
I think you have to smile more, too. That helps a little bit. It's a little bit sure doesn't hurt.
You know, speaking of Sam Weish and his problems in Cincinnati, you know, you're starting to see talk about Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh and whether or not he's going to be back next year. And it'll certainly be his choice, but you're hearing Chuck even speculate that maybe he won't be back.
You know, it's one of the problems if Cincinnati decides Sam Weish is not the man, or he decides to leave, whatever might happen. This is going to be a year when maybe half a dozen new head coaches, half a dozen coaches are going to be fired. And it's going to be kind of hard to find yourself a good new head coach. It's going to be kind of a glut on the market.
3rd and 19 from the 43-yard line. And there's a sack for Alfred Williams. And it will be 4th down and time to kick. And of course, every time there's a coaching vacancy, there's always the same suspects
exactly
who get named. The NBC Bills, of course, head the list. Parcells and Walsh.
That's
Buddy
annual.
Ryan.
That's annual.
Yep, and Buddy Ryan's name beginning to surface again after his year out.
His name being bandied around rather actively out in Los Angeles, isn't that?
That would be a strange marriage, wouldn't it?
Stranger things have happened.
That's true.
2-minute warning, so to speak. Miami 37, Cincinnati 13. Stick around. What a finish this will be.
Do comfort and adventure go together? They do now, since Ford created a vehicle that quickly became the class of its class by providing the most comfort and interior room you can buy. 4-liter power and as much exterior room as your heart desires. Going where others have never gone before. That's what being an explorer is all about. Dave Thomas is still traveling the world over looking for new foods for Wendy's.
No thanks, I just ate. Hi. Boy, I sure could go for a Big Dave's Deluxe.
It's back. Made with a 1/4 pound of fresh beef, cheese, 3 strips of bacon, sauteed onions. The works.
Hey, this isn't Piccadilly.
Come in for another Big Dave's Deluxe, only at Wendy's.
There's no place like home.
You just arrived. You don't know your way around town. And then you see welcome signs of civilization and sophistication. You're gonna like it here. The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
This holiday season, thanks to Sears, you can give the timeless magic of E.T. on video cassette for just $14.99. Get a free E.T. poster with purchase, but only at Sears, to make holiday wishes come true.
You can count on me.
I think we didn't stage that, did we?
Well, to the victors belong the spoils, and the Dolphins are whooping it up here.
Airship Shamu.
An overflowing crowd.
Yep. Providing the
overflowing the parking lots right now.
Well, they're happy. They're on their way home and happy tonight because their Dolphins lead 37-13. They're going to make it 3 straight. They're going to make it 5 out of 6. And thinking about the playoffs. Reggie Roby to punt. 2 minutes to go in the game. Fair catch called for at the 12-yard line by Mitchell Price. And that would be a 51-yard kick for Reggie Roby.
Roby's only had, and he has a funny style when he punts the ball. He sometimes out kicks the coverage, and he has some long punts, but if he doesn't get that height on it, his coverage doesn't get down there. But with that funny style, the long stride, the one-handed drop, in 9 years, he's only had 3 punts blocked.
Shouldn't be allowed to wear a watch during a game, though.
I think we've explained before, they use that watch to measure the hang time of the opposition's putter.
Craig Taylor. Well, we can tell you the executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. I think this is the only show on primetime television with just one producer, Ken Wolf. Our man Kenny. Every other show has at least 14 credits for producer.
Well, he's the only producer with only 2 names.
Yep, directed by Craig Janoff. Our technical director, Joe Chavo. Associate director is Ben Harvey. Our halftime coordinator, Dick Buffington.
His real name is J. Kenny Wolf.
Catch made here by Shane Garrett. And Kurt Pfluger and Fred King, along with our tech managers. Steve Hurd, our director of information. Mark Amento and Brian Mobilson handling the computer. Kirsten Anderson is our kennel keeper up here in the booth. George Hill, our statistician. And Malibu, Kelly Hayes, taking his act east this week.
And the buffet was marvelous.
Yep. Here's Taylor taking the swing pass up to the 28-yard line. 40 seconds to go.
Reconvening in New Orleans for the Saints and the Raiders, and the Saints, boy, they have been snake bit 4 in a row. They're down. They had that commanding 9-1 record, and all of a sudden Atlanta right there with them, tied. And Atlanta, if they were to go today, have the tie-breaking edge.
Taylor up past the 40, out of bounds
bounds at the 44. Actually, he didn't get out of bounds, and so the clock continues to wind down, and that should be the final play of the game. So the Dolphins go to 8-6. Bengals go to 2-12. Another victory for Don Shula, counting postseason, up and over the 300 mark earlier this year in his illustrious career. Big night for Dan Marino, big night for Duper and Clayton, and a not so good night for Boomer and the Bengals, who head home with another loss. We'll talk to you next week from New Orleans. Till then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. Good night from Miami.
Saturday, the top 30 money winners on the Senior Tour tee off at the New York Life Champions. Now, except on the West Coast, stay tuned for your late local news and ABC News Nightline over most of these ABC stations. ABC's NFL Monday Night Football has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? While the makers of Denorex shampoo and conditioner, the dandruff shampoo you can feel working. While the diamond tennis bracelet, this Christmas, give her the gift of love, diamonds. And by Braun electric shavers. It is through superior design that superior performance can be achieved. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the